Hello, I want to talk about application of geometric forms to the human anatomy today. One of the problems students run into, especially beginner students, is they draw the human anatomy as something flat, almost like an outline Gumby. And one of the tricks with drawing, one of the big tricks with drawing, representational drawing, is we're trying to take three-dimensional subject matter, put it on a flat surface, and convince the viewer they're seeing form. So it's really important to understand that when we're drawing the human anatomy is form. It's not a flat shape, it's not a Gumby. So when you see this drawing here, this was done with a red type of Conte, and then some boxes were superimposed on top of that representing the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis. Now the three main masses of the body are the head, rib cage, and pelvis, and they're all attached to your vertebrae. And your head and rib cage and pelvis can turn all different ways in different directions, but they're still all attached to the vertebrae. Then obviously we have our arms and legs attached from there, but these three main masses are so important to understand. So here you can see with this just straight standing pose posterior, how I have these boxes set up, shaped somewhat in a similar fashion to the head and rib cage and pelvis. So then let's take this one off, and we have another drawing here, anterior view. Once again, using the boxes to represent the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis. So once again, understanding that and being able to superimpose forms, whether they're boxes or spheres or ovals, is a big jump towards, getting the drawings to look three-dimensional. So what I'm going to do here now, here's another one with boxes. This one's turned a little more. This is a little more dynamic, but you can see here, rib cage that way, head that way, pelvis that way. By the way, this type of pose is what we call contrapposta, where the weight is on one leg, so the pelvis is tilted that way, and the shoulders are going another direction. Pelvis that way, shoulders that way. Important to remember. So now I'm going to take this drawing here, and I'm going to show you how I can superimpose some tracing paper I have here on top of this model, and you'll be able to see how the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis are turned into boxes. Her vertebrae is turning this way, so her rib cage is going that way and her pelvis is tilting out. So we have these boxes turned in different directions for that pose. Let's do it with ovals now. So same model. Here we have ovals and spheres that you can use also to get the form on the model. Three masses, head, rib cage, pelvis, attached to the vertebrae. Let's look at another drawing. We've got Keith here, which by the way is another contrapposta pose. And before I superimpose the geometric forms on top of Keith, besides the shoulders and the hips go in two different directions, those lines are important. I also do a vertical line down here. It's important to understand, especially with a standing pose, it's fairly straightforward, how the model is able to balance themselves. Here the model's standing on his right leg. His left leg's just balancing him. So you see his head is almost directly over this left foot. He's standing on his left foot, his left leg. That's where the weight is. So oftentimes you can draw a line from the head and figure out all the way down to the surface the model's standing on where this vertical would end. That keeps your model from looking like he or she is falling over. So if I superimpose the boxes on top of Keith here, all these models are great, by the way. You can see head, rib cage, pelvis once again. Now, with this pose, I was looking up. So we see a little bit underneath this box, a little under this one, a little under this one, because my eye level with this drawing was about at his knees, because he was up on a podium. So that's why you're seeing the bottoms of some of these boxes. These boxes, they're opaque. That means you can't see through them. So the maximum size you can see are 3, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you just see 2. Like here and here, but mostly 3. Sometimes you'll just see it straight on. That doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes you just see it straight on. So, with Keith here, I put these spheres and ovals on top of him. Get him in there. Bear with me for just a moment. And you can see the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis once again. Vertebrae. Okay, we'll say goodbye to Keith. She's one of the great models in the Los Angeles area, and she also books models and has a great website called gallerygirls.com. Anyway, this is Jennifer. And she's sitting on a stool and kind of leaning back. There's weight on her shoulders. Then she has her lower right leg tucked underneath. So when you look at that pose to understand what's happening in terms of those 3 different masses, once again, the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis, you can see how these boxes would be used to show that things are turning in this direction. Once again, my eye level is about down here. Bottom of the box, head's tilted slightly down so I didn't see the bottom of this box. But wait, there's more. Here's Jennifer once again with the ovals and spheres. I put these little coarse shadows just to make them look more three-dimensional, but those aren't necessary. So here again, masses. Form. Form is key. Let's look at one more, and then I'll talk about application. So this model is standing primarily with her weight on her left leg. So it's a contrapposta pose, but it's from the side. And you can see here she has her head going in one direction, her rib cage going that way, and her pelvis going that way. So when we would superimpose the boxes, and this can be done before or after you actually draw the model. You can draw the boxes to begin with to figure out where they're going, and then draw the model, or do a 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute gesture, and then put the boxes on top. So here, see a little bit underneath her chin there, head tilted down, rib cage going this way. This is pretty much a lateral view, so we don't really see the front or back of her torso here. It's kind of a lateral view here. We see a little under there. And then her pelvis, she's turned slightly, so we see the front of this box and the side of this box. One of the best techniques for translating form. Let's take the ovals for this model once again. And here we've got the ovals. Here's the vertebrae. Head this way, rib cage that way, pelvis that way. So let's do application. I'll do it with boxes. So here's the model, here's the gesture. If I put this piece of tracing paper on top, now you guys won't be required to put tracing paper on top. You can do like I did with those initial drawings, where you're actually just drawing the boxes right into the drawing. But I'm doing it this way to show how you can apply both of these types of forms onto, the models. So this is just a piece of charcoal. And so what happened with this pose is the head's going this way. You don't have to shade underneath, but sometimes it helps to to show the direction a little more. The rib cage is tilted in this direction, and we're seeing just the tiniest bit underneath here because the model is above eye level here. And then the pelvis here. Following that direction. This head may be a little large for the box, but you get the general idea. And the vertebrae, of course, is attached through. And you've got those geometric forms describing the gesture of the pose. So I hope that helps. That's it for today. Thank you.